I've been reading this book on media and how you're supposed to give interviews and stuff, and watching these people lie on Fox News and stuff, having the information that I have about how they're supposed to give interviews is wild. Check this clip out. I'm going to analyze it from a media interview perspective, and we'll talk about it.
Well, the CBO, which you put so much trust in for years and years, that you passed a resolution wanting estimates read before bills.
CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO analyzes how much bills are going to generate in revenue, how much they're going to cost in taxes and things like that. And this Republican here has supported the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, for like decades, basically. And suddenly, when it comes to this big, beautiful bill, Trump's big, beautiful bill, he backs off and he says, oh, no, it's terrible. It's awful. CBO doesn't know what they're talking about.
About how many people are going to be kicked off of health care until you were against the CBO.
No, ma'am. You listen. If you want to do the editorial, just go ahead, and you don't need me on here. But the
These
CBO,
are facts, sir. I don't have to editorialize.
Scores. I would like to see what the economic.
So he's trying to downplay her credibility. Also, something these people tend to do a lot, something that's recommended in media training is let the entire question come out. You don't have to answer immediately. And if you're on a live interview, that's even better because there's a delay. So just wait a second, think about what the person is saying, and then address it afterward. Give yourself plenty of time. Do not raise your pitch. Keep your pitch at an even level and keep your speech at a normal pace, because you don't want people to think that you're nervous, and you want to be authoritative. And you always want to be absolute about everything. Everything is black and white, okay? So listen what he says here. So he is shooting her down, destroying her credibility right out of the gate.
By the way, guys, check out my new shop, owenmorgan.com/shop. I have a bunch of really cool designs on there.
Facts, sir. I don't have to editorialize.
I would like to see what the economic output of every bill. You as a taxpayer should want that too. And the CBO is the only organization we have. If I could allow a private accounting firm to do it, I would much rather that happen.
So he's going to come with three things now. He's going to come with anecdotes, statistics, and sound bites. That's part of like the message package that you need to come with. Here's an example. He's going to say something like, if he wanted to support removing malpractice laws for doctors, he would come up with a reason. You know, a bunch of women are like 100 miles away from their nearest obstetrician, and that means that some percentage of them are going to die in childbirth before the obstetrician can reach them. We need to loosen malpractice laws so that these women will be closer to their obstetrician, coming up with some ridiculous spin on why that would be good. Then you come with statistics. 40% of women are more than 30 miles away from their obstetrician. Like, who cares? Really? Yes, of course. I don't live next door. I'm not the neighbor to my doctor. Why would I be? And then you get sound bites. Living that far away from your obstetrician is like keeping Band-Aids at your friend's house. You have to come up with these three things and stay on message every time, always. You should always revert back to that. And that is basically what this guy is doing. That's his whole strategy here.
To see what the economic output of every bill. You as a taxpayer should want that too. And the CBO is the only organization we have. If I could allow a private accounting firm to do it, I would much rather that happen. But the reality is it would have to be the CBO. And what do you have against knowing how much each bill is spent?
So here's another little trick he's doing. He just keeps talking. Just keeps talking, and filling dead air.
Why is his hand?
I don't know. I guess it seems like he is trying to hold in an earpiece or something, but this is another thing you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to be gesturing with your hands, even if they can't see you, because people can hear smiles in voices, and they can hear gesturing even. These subtle sounds that people make are important. He's filibustering, basically. He's not letting her get a word in edgewise, and people that talk the most in a debate, for example, are usually viewed as the ones that are winning the debate.
What do you have against knowing how much each bill is spent? Why is the media opposed to that? Why do you all on the left always fight every chance at America knowing what's going on.
Make a bunch of accusations against people, because every accusation that is not rebutted sticks. The listening audience, who's really who he's talking to here, is going to hear this accusation, and if she doesn't butt in and say that's not true and then correct it, then then the listening audience is going to assume that what he said is true.
Also, if you get louder and interrupt a lot, you seem to win the debate.
Yeah.
The problem y'all have with this bill, ma'am, is that it gets government out of our way and lets Americans make some decisions, and maybe hardworking Americans would.
Oh, yeah. Also, make accusations that are not easy to explain, like not easy to rebut. That's another little trick that he likes. That's part of media training, because you can try to rebut this, but going through the process of explaining why they were wrong or what he said that was offensive or incorrect or whatever, that takes a whole thing. And that's why he's doing what he's doing.
Have a better choice and a better shot at life in this country without you all just telling us how bad things are going and trying to construct, and as you're doing with me, trying to dictate what I've said. And the reality is the CBO is a partisan organization, and the reality is America has a right to know how much we're spending on every piece of legislation. I cannot believe you as a member of the media would not want open records.
He's sticking that in her mouth. She didn't say that.
And that is exactly what that bill would do.
Sir, we have reported on what is in this bill.
She just let him do this. She just let him ramble on about this ridiculous nonsense.
We do that time and again.
Ma'am, you all are trying to scare. Are you talking about the big, beautiful bill? You all just try to.
To be fair, I don't think if she did cut him off, then he would have let that happen. I think they would have ended up going back and forth in a screaming match.
Very possible, but that's why you need a mute button. Seriously, you need to be able to mute people.
Some people that I watch will go live on TikTok and people will just start screaming at them, not letting them get a word in. They just mute them or kick them. It's
important. Yeah. You got to be able to do that, because they're just going to stand here and lie. And what we're really looking for in media is what they call the 7-second stray. This guy has a message, and he's going to hit you with anecdotes, statistics, and sound bites over and over and over again. He's going to keep pulling it back to that message, and he's going to keep accusing Democrats of this thing or that thing. You got to find that 7 seconds where he goes off message for just a second and zero in on it. Here's a good example. The guy that was responsible for BP when there was that big oil spill back years ago, whenever it was, 2007 or something, he said, I want to fix this oil spill just as much as anybody. I want my life back. And that's all anybody ran with. I want my life back. The guy says, I want my life back. There are ducks that are dying because they're covered in oil. And there are homes that have been destroyed. And this guy wants his life back. This filthy rich guy. 2010, yeah. That was the 7-second stray that people were looking for. You gotta be very careful when you're delivering a message like this. But I'll tell you this. Politicians, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Sarah Palin, Michelle Bachmann, all of these people are media experts. They know all the stuff that I'm laying down for you right now. That none of this is a surprise. You don't get to that position unless you are a media expert. That's really what they specialize in over anything.
Millions of people are going to be cut off this thing. You're talking about the people that are on it illegally, that are gaming the system. And that is, and
no, we're not. The CBO is very
clear.
clear.
The bill does not do anything of what you've said, and all you've done is scare America, and you're not doing a service to this country, ma'am. And you all ought to start talking. You want to talk about transparency, and then there you are attacking me on a bill where I'm trying to make it transparent to how much we're spending on each piece of legislation. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
You wanted to have the CBO estimate, and you're now railing
because
against
that is
CBO
the only
estimates.
organization.
He's talking over her, and he's just laying down propaganda line after propaganda line. It's all just messaging that he tries to get out as quickly as humanly possible, because he knows that that is what's going to convince the audience most effectively. He doesn't care what she's saying. He has a specific goal in mind that he's going to push, and that's what he's doing. That
is the only organization at our disposal to do that.
Good enough for you, and we are reporting on it. Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you so much for being with us.
And she just let that happen. She just sat there while he propagandized and lies. This is CNN, I believe. Is it? It is CNN, right? I thought it said at the beginning. Yeah, it's CNN, I think. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, CNN anchor Brianna Keilar. So, you can claim CNN is not right wing all you want, but when they are inviting right wingers on to just spread the message, propagandize, and lie for a solid 5 minutes, they're effectively right wing. They are helping nobody but the right, like uninterrupted for like ever. So, not really happy with CNN. But check this out. Like, compare this to Ted Cruz and his interaction with Tucker Carlson one more time. I've covered this a couple of times, but listen again.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population at all.
Okay, this is actually a common gotcha question. How many people live in Iran? Christopher Hitchens one time asked somebody who was trying to fight in Iraq or something, how many countries or which countries border Iraq? Do you even know which 5 countries border Iraq? And he listed like 3 of them. And Christopher Hitchens was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. They don't know anything about the region. The fact that he could name 3 of them is pretty impressive. I couldn't, I don't think. These types of gotcha questions are common in the media, and media training teaches you how to answer them. If you don't know the answer to a question, you have one of 2 choices. You should either say, here's what I do know, and then list a bunch of things. Here's what I do know. Iran has nuclear weapons, and they're going to blah, blah, blah. Give your, jump back on message. Or the second option in this case would be to say, I pledge to understand this issue backward and forward better than anybody on planet Earth before I make any serious decisions here. Pledge to learn or redirect to something else. That's what you're supposed to do in media training. And I'm kind of surprised that Ted Cruz didn't do that. Like he's media trained. He knows what he's talking about, what he's doing. Why did he do that with Tucker?
No, I don't know the population. You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
I have to assume he didn't like fight Tucker on this or redirect or whatever because he didn't see it coming.
How many people live in Iran? 92 million. Okay. Yeah. How could you not know that? I don't sit around memorizing population tables. Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
This is such a classic media tactic. I really can't believe Ted Cruz fell for it. But anyway, the whole thing is super fascinating to me. I'm so interested by the things that people like, the methods people use to deceive or to trick their interlocutors on the media. Yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments.